This is Patrick, and I have James with me. We're about to jump in here on game 3 for Adepticon. I am playing Wolfen, and James is playing Minor. So here we are, just about to roll off for tactical. I think you won this. You won, and I passed initially, and so you're activating your first models. Do you want to talk a little bit maybe about your deployment, James, and what you were thinking as you deployed?
Yeah, absolutely. So the list I played for Adepticon this year was a derivation of a CWI, or a list I played for another tournament. It's Midnor, Azahir Colony. It's led by Kelzerl with a War Staff, because the Azahir Colony allows that Orator solo to give your character leadership. It's got a Cyclops, Master of Puppets, 5 Scourge Bearers, 2 Sentinels, 2 Warriors of the Abyss. My thinking for this scenario, it's called Border Wars, was that I wanted to have a knot of guys in the middle. Kelzerl's a faith-based caster. He's the Midnor is the faction of darkness that is not iconoclastic, so you gather strength from having your own people around you. I put just enough dwarves along the board so that I have somebody to move every pillar, knowing that Patrick's army only has 5 models. That's a great way to put a lot of scenario pressure on him, while keeping a big knot of dwarves in the middle, because I knew I needed to be able to answer the wargs if they came up the middle at my expensive stuff. That was kind of my strategy.
Yeah, so my deployment is I deployed centrally with the trackers on the flank to try to clear off any columns that you may be pushing, and hopefully they can try to push them back or over late game. Obviously, with Border Wars, you don't know what pillars are going to disappear. The middle ones disappeared here. I think that we kind of had a conversation afterwards where, we did it by 2d6 minus 1. Well, average of 2d6 is 7, so it makes sense why, 6, 7, 8 pretty much got eliminated from us. Yeah, so, I'm just activating Eric's here. I force march this warg up to get him into position. Also casted Water Dance on it so it can leap over models. We both predetermined before the game that wall where James's caster was too high to leap over. So I was hoping that he'd leave me an opening where I could leap over a bunch of models and get into some squishy things. Yeah, I think I've reflected a lot. This is game 3, obviously, on a long day. And James, you played it really well. I think I made some mental errors. Committing to the middle there when I really didn't, maybe wasn't the best call. Could have maybe played more for the scenario and split my wargs and use my speed to especially with your slow dwarves to make you chase me while I maybe pick off guys here and there.
Yeah. I think that would have been a very interesting game. I think possibly the big mistake was putting one warg down the middle and one warg on the side. You'll see in just a little bit he's going to move a warg kind of into the center of the mass. I think both wargs together would have been a heavy-duty threat, and then I think one of the other problems you had was when you forced march the one warg, you didn't move him up very far, which I get. But then he kind of didn't follow up on that, so it was a lot of gems used in the first turn that didn't yield much of a benefit.
Yeah, here we're seeing James be really nice to me, and I completely forgot to activate my second tracker after he already had activated a model. So this is actually, I finished activating trackers. He did a full activation, came back, and you actually called out to me, "Hey, did you want to move this guy?" And I said, "Yeah," and you thankfully let me take him.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, you're right. I didn't move up that warg because you had a sentinel there with 12. It's sentinels that have 12.5 movement, right?
Yes, and it was actually a good move on your part. I mean, it was a real threat in the sense that in the bubble of my leadership, they have an effective courage 9, so there was a really good chance he could charge, and he would die, but he would cost the warg a round of activity, which is a very real thing you don't want. So I fully understand why you didn't move the warg up as far as why you didn't move him up further.
Yep. Yeah, and I thought, with 35 inches of movement, I don't need it, and I didn't think that I wanted to get right on your caster right away. I think with these guys, you usually want to get into something that they can kill easily, and then pursuit movement into the targets you actually want to get onto. Because I've often found that if you go deep like that, you just get gang piled by everything else that activates after the wargs, because you're just usually always losing tactical and they have more reserves and whatnot. So.
Yeah, I think that's actually really fair. I mean, a double warg list is a very small model count, so I think hitting the side of the army knowing that you're not going to get the Chewy center in turn one, but just trimming out numbers is actually a very fine way to go.
Yeah. Yeah, and just a little bit about the warg list. I guess we didn't, really talk about it. It is red oaks. So 4 models get, the benefit of either +3 strength and +3 res. I put resilience on all the wargs or all the Wolfen, and especially the wargs, because there's enough killing power there. And then just, res 13 Wolfen with sacred armor. They're really hard to put down. And obviously they can hit really hard. So this list though may not be the most competitive. It asks a big question of, hey, can you deal with this much meat and 2 of them coming at you
Yeah.
really fast, right? And if you don't have an
Mhm.
answer, which I don't think, well, actually, my game 2 against Nathaniel, he could have done it, but I think that we kind of found out very quickly in that game that just dice didn't go his way, and I kind of gave him a pretty bad dicing, unfortunately.
Oh,
So
yeah, no, I can imagine. Yeah.
yeah.
So we're seeing here right now that second warg is going to the outside. He's kind of changed plans from forced marching forward and then going deep to working on the pillars, which I thought was a great way to go. And then you're about to see that up in the top center of the board, now that he's activated everything, my last 2 activations are going, which is Kelzerol and the Cyclops. So I
Yeah.
activate Kelzerol and I cast a miracle called Devil's Whispers, which Patrick was not ready for and kind of ruined his day. It allows you to allocate your opponent's dice for them. It's very soft control compared to effects like Aquatic Shackles or Petite Mort, but it does work on wargs and really mess things up for him.
Yeah, and I think that just threw me through a loop, right? I'm used to playing Aquatic Shackles, Petite Mort, what is it, Flow, where you just reduce a strength to 0 or something like that on a
Mm-hmm.
model. I've been ready for. This one just threw me off of exactly how do you deal with it. Um, I think the way you deal with it is actually you put both the wargs in. One is not going to do anything. The other
Yeah.
one hopefully can chew through enough. And then, like you said, we just saw your Cyclops fail fear test, and obviously, I didn't know that at the time because he was in reserve, but knowing
Yep.
that definitely would have been a juicy play for me to get both wargs in there like that. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, had the second warg gone in there, it would have been a much, much worse story in the center. Especially because with the one warg, I was able to keep him under wraps, but with 2, I just wouldn't have had the faith to do anything. And you can only cast Devil's Whispers once around anyway.
yep.
Right now, we're looking at Born Killer. Patrick blew my mind for a second when he told me that you had to put a dice in attack. Because with Devil's Whispers, if somebody has an effect that forces them to allocate dice, you can't override it. So Devil's Whispers, like I said, is soft control. It doesn't work on War Fury, doesn't work on Righteousness. It doesn't work on Beings of Light or Darkness. Luckily, Born Killer gives you an extra combat die, but it doesn't have to go in attack. So we confirmed that he was all in defense.
Yep. And I
I
wonder
didn't
if
really.
I
Oh yeah,
wonder if
go ahead.
that was a C2 or a C1 thing where maybe Born Killer said it always adds an attack die or something, because I would have swore I read it somewhere. But yeah, we looked in the book there, didn't find it. Jeremy is off to the side looking at the FAQ, didn't find anything there, so I
Yeah,
conceded it and we just kind of moved on. But yeah.
yeah, could
So
very well be a C2 thing. I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah. So the first round, he clears some stuff out on the right flank with combat. The center combat, there's not much going on. I just had a couple of very small dwarves on his warg, so they couldn't get any damage in anyway. And I think actually he blocked them all because I
I
forced him to
did.
put his dice in defense.
Yep.
On the right, he's going to kill that dwarf. And then I think that one you're going into now, it's just gets critted, right? Like he survives.
Yeah, he does
Yeah.
actually. So 3 dice, I think I failed maybe one of them, and then um yeah, the other 2 I think I was hitting legs and arms all day on my
Yeah.
wargs, just putting people at seriouses and crits, hitting the legs and arms. But
One thing I discovered, a long time ago and I was new to the game is that even 3 dice is just not enough, no matter how strong you are, because you can like miss with an attack and then leg somebody, and they're generally only serious if they get legged.
yep,
Warg strength, even at 15, is not necessarily guaranteeing you a critical wound on a leg hit. So,
yep,
and then your next hit might land in the arms, or if they're decently high resilience, in the belly and still not quite kill them. You really want 4 or 5 dice. I like 5 as kind of a minimum to kill models. 4 is good, but like 3 is just not as reliable as it needs to be.
yep,
So let
yep.
that be a lesson to everybody.
hmm So I rolled. I think we're in maintenance here. Rolled
Yeah.
5 for my arcane recovery roll. You're
Yep.
counting up. You got what was it, like 9 or something
9
like that?
faith, yeah. Kelzerl had a bunch of guys around him. The Cyclops has little 1. I had Consecration of the Master of Puppets. So Kelzerl goes up to a total of 9 faith. Master of Puppets, who's just below Kelzerl in the center, you can see is a purple die next to him, goes up to 4 Gems of Darkness. He's going to be really clutch in this next round.
And then a
Removing the
great
pillars.
start. Yeah, great start for you on the pillars. Already moving
Yeah.
4 of them. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a really tough scenario for a low count Wolfen army because, and in many scenarios, there's a lot of scenario objectives where it's just about a body and it doesn't matter what the body's stats are. And
Yeah.
that's one reason that Wolfen struggle on objectives. So I knew that as long as I just had bodies on the pillars, it was going to be almost impossible for him to move the pillars back because he just wouldn't have the bodies to do it.
Yep. Yep. And that's where maybe even breaking off the wargs even early, getting them to stop the pillar movements. Right. I could have gone 1 left, killed maybe
Yeah,
1.
I think ignoring my center block and just going sideways with wargs and trackers as teams and just wiping everything off the pillars would have been an interesting way to go.
Yeah.
We should play that game sometime if we get the chance and see how it goes. I don't know if it would have worked or not, but it definitely would have.
Yeah.
Would have been interesting. I think it's got some play.
Yeah, the other spell here I have, so Aquatic Shackles Force March, that's obviously going to catch a lot of people off guard. I'm going to jump over and get on some juicy targets. But the other thing I have is Elemental. Um, you're going to see me try to cast that out here in just a minute. But I think that was the other big thing is if I would have gotten that out, had 3 big threats to kind of deal with your stuff, where you can only Devil's Whisper 1 of the 3.
Yep.
That obviously would have also put on some pressure. But like I said, it was a long day.
Yeah.
Mistakes were made definitely here in the 3rd round. So
Yeah. I think Water Dance and Force March is an absolutely fine way to go.
Yeah.
I will say too, I was super impressed with your trackers. Patrick and I had talked about this list over the course of the year, and I was big into the Sentinels because they have the artillery shots. But Patrick opted for the trackers, and I got to say, in the game we played, I was very impressed with their performance. Trackers are super fast, so they can keep up with the wargs. With the Red Oaks token on, they've got a 9 resilience, so they're very good. They have Assault Fire printed on their card, so they're very good at landing the spear hit when they run in, and he was getting some real work done with those spear shots.
Yeah. So here I am. We decided, I thought I'd be cheeky, try to put the elemental over the wall here. Rolling to cast it, you're going to counter it with 1 gem. I roll low, and then you obviously just counter it straight up. So that was a bummer.
That was a rough moment. I'm so sorry about that.
No, it's that's the game, right?
Yeah.
I do try to follow up and arcane out master aquatic shackles. You absorb it, which I think in hindsight you can't absorb water with darkness, right? I'm pretty sure.
Actually, darkness absorbs and is absorbed by all elements. So darkness counters and absorbs everything, and everything counters and absorbs darkness.
We'll have to look that up in the hindsight. Yeah. I think it's I know that anything can absorb darkness, but I think only darkness can counter light. But we'll have to follow that.
Oh, if that's true, then I messed up. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. But no, it would have been minor. Anyways, you have a Cyclops and like 3 other guys on that warg, so it was definitely gonna die. Shackles for those, not aquatic shackles. So I've really fallen in love with this. It's cost 1. I think it's difficulty 5 or 6, and then it makes any 2s rolled count as like 1s that automatically fail, and just the avoidance on top of already the high res and sacred armor and stuff, it just really is hard to put wounds on the warg and really kind of cranks it up to 11. So here, this is what James was talking about, my tracker on the left flank, just doing work. I assault shotted that 1 on the pillar, it died, so I just redirect with the shot. I think I rolled boxcars or something ridiculous, and then redirected the charge to the one on the left, and then here we are, the one on the right, just kind of following up there and going to clear that guy off and help out the warg. But yeah, the Cyclops is there, and then Erix is also just kind of sitting there, really, really vulnerable. But I thought if I could get that elemental out, it'd be a really
game
strong
changer.
Yeah,
that would have been great. So this round, the trackers got a lot of work done in the combat phase, and then when we get to the warg in the middle, Kelzerl's just got a ton of faith. So we go Devil's Whispers again, force all of his dice into blocking, and then Abnegation, which allows a caster to, and that's a disengagement. He was kind of coming around the bend. His intent was to get over there, but you can only disengage your walk speed. You can't double move on a disengage.
Yep,
So
that was
he got into position. Yeah.
Yeah, big mistake on my part. I definitely thought you could walk out or disengage and charge out, but it is only a walk. So
yeah.
Sorry.
So he's in no problem. So he's in position to go in the next round. I'd gotten a little ahead. I wasn't sure we were in the turn, and was really threatening the back flank. However, because things are about to go here with Kelzeril casting those spells on the warg, he basically completely debuffs him so that I can get the kill. Yeah. And then that's going to really start tilting things in my favor once there's that 100 points down. This list is a small list. There's 5 models, so once models start going down, you lose large chunks of the army. And then the list I'm playing is as I kill portions of my opponent's army. New guys of my army come in on the table. It's a really powerful mechanic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that, back to that disengagement, I think I have the one there on a crit, the one dwarf pushing that pillar on a crit, and the other one just got assault shotted, and I think he's like on a Sirius or something like that. So I felt pretty confident that the tracker could just leave, clean both of those up anyway. So I thought, might as well get the warg trying to get it back into the game over there. Yeah, so here's all my dice lined up perfectly for defense, just waiting to be rolled.
Yeah.
But yeah. The other thing that you kind of caught me off here too is you cast an abnegation on him as well. I've always just looked at abnegation as a way to buff friendly models' res and strength, but it definitely has you can target any model and then you can subtract their res or strength, which is obviously huge here because you knock it down, the warg down from strength 13 all the way down to strength or res 13 all the way down to res 6, and that just allows pretty much even these little guys to, I think you're swinging at dice +2, dice +3 on them, and just put wounds on him, and he'll go down really quick. There's the only sacred armor I've ever gotten on the wargs, by the way. James rolled double 2s and didn't do any damage, thankfully. But otherwise, I hardly ever get people to roll doubles on my wargs. It feels real bad. But
yep. And then we're just getting the damage rolls in there. Yeah, I had some Scourge Bears in there, strength 8. I think a Sentinel maybe at strength 6, and then the Cyclops at 14. And the Cyclops is going to finish it off.
Yep.
There it is.
So that
was a tough one. Patrick, you took that one very stoically. I was very impressed with your composure.
Yeah. I mean, it was a foregone conclusion, I think, the prior turn, right? Especially once I learned about the Devil's Whisper. Yeah, that is a strong spell. Yeah, I thought Yurix actually died. Well, a little spoilers, but I thought Yurix went down this round too. But
no, it's not. Next round. Yeah. It's funny. I've been carrying Devil's Whispers for years and years. When I was playing Dirts with Claudia, she would pack it, and it's only useful once every 3 or 4 games. It seems like, but when it's useful, it's usually game turning because you're usually putting it on a huge model like a warg or a troll or a Cyclops or something big like that, and they often have low discipline. They're easy to cast it on, and then they don't have any tricks if they can't attack. So having them put their dice in defense is usually a death sentence. Wargs actually, with their defense of 6, handle that spell better than most because at least with their resilience and their high defense, they can actually just shut down damage.
Yeah. Yeah, so I actually pointed, this is something big here that we're going to debate now. That word just cleared both, or that tracker just cleared both pillars.
Those trackers are great.
Wait, never mind. Not this turn. There was a turn where I thought that I could kill a guy and get it back around to model. That must have not been it, though. Because we were talking about pursuits, and I think that you weren't aware that pursuit movements, you actually round up to the nearest integer, right? So
I was not. It's one of those things I've been doing. Yeah, I've been doing 3.75 centimeter follow-ups with dwarves for 20 years, and now I'm going to do 4 centimeter follow-ups with them. But yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah, I think they didn't want people getting too far into their decimals. So I think because those, especially these 17.5. I mean, I can't even math it out right now for you. But
8.75.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. So it just makes it easier where you don't have to get so precise and just round it up to the nearest one. But
yeah.
Recovery rolls. Did I fail? Or oh no, I did. Okay, so I'm putting. Oh yeah. So here's my other out. I thought that I loaded up 1 water and 3 fire or 4 fire. I'm gonna try to deluge. Hope I can get lucky and just kill outright the magician. Hope
Yep.
I don't get
And
countered
he
here.
casted that with 5 gems specifically so that I could not absorb it.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I I just casted it with 5 gems also because the more gems you put into it, the more damage it does. So I think it would have been I casted it with 4 gems and then I spent 1 to improve the mastery on it because I think I need a 10 base, but I'll get engaged here in just a minute, which will push it up to an 11 because Eric's is a full mage, not a warrior mage. So I knew I needed to roll 5-6 because she has focus and then roll up. So it was going to be a hard roll, but I was kind of getting desperate already. I could kind of see that he can just kind of do the same thing that he just did to the other warg. So I need to try to deal with the your caster quickly. And here you are. You were putting out, yeah. So you put out. Why don't you talk about how you put out your what are they, puppets or
Oh, they're
your
called Lost
reinforcements?
Ones. Yeah. So
Yeah.
once you kill 50 AP worth of models, for every 50 AP, you get to put out a Lost One. They arrive 10 centimeters from somebody in your army using the reinforcement rules. You don't roll, they just come out. So I put out 2 Lost Ones inside the leadership bubble so that they wouldn't have trouble with their fear tests. And I put 1 on that warg to pin him down. And I think the other one went to the outside right for that tracker.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's where they went.
Yeah, these lost
So
ones
because,
are definitely going to become a problem for me here later in the
yeah,
game. Just they're really great models to just tie up activations and push objectives. You can't. Can you actually? You can push put columns with them, right? Because they are actually part
yes,
of your army. Okay.
yeah, they're not summoned and they are of my people. I mean, the more important thing is that they're not summoned,
Right.
but they're of my people, so it's kind of like they count as part of the army in every respect, as far as I know.
Yep.
So
So
yeah, but
you
they're
still try to
just,
counter it. I failed, which you do need to announce the counter before. So
yep,
even though I failed it with my roll,
the
you
gem
still
is still
spend that.
spent.
Yeah, you still
Yeah,
spend that gem. Try to counter it. Um, yeah, and I think I try to follow up with aquatic.
with the shackle spell,
The
maybe.
shackles. Yeah, I must have. I'm not sure, or maybe I just blanked it, thinking that you're gonna absorb it again or something like that. Because I think
Hmm.
you rolled pretty well on your recovery roll. Don't you have quite a few gems on your guy at this point?
He caps out at 4, so it's
4.
actually super easy to fill up.
Sure.
Yeah.
So here you are, just kind of you moved up primarily to get away from the warg, or what were you trying to do there?
Partly to get away from the warg, mostly to throw down abnegation on Erix to make sure I could get her res down. I
Yep.
was confident that the Cyclops and the Master of Puppets, who's going in momentarily, would be able to take her down, but her resilience goes up to something like 9, right? When she's got a
Yep.
Oaks token on her.
When she has the red oaks token. Yep.
Yeah, so resilience 2 is much easier to kill than resilience 9. She's over 100 points, so I was very aware that she, if I could get her, was going to get me another 2 lost ones. And when the models count starts getting low like this, you can really paralyze your opponent by just bringing in more lost ones and then
Yep.
pinning them with your charges at the top of a round.
Yeah. So here that tracker assault was gonna try to. Well, he did assault shot it, and then there was a fear check. I can't remember if he did do the shot or if it was just a charge. And I'm
Oh,
not
around
actually
the
sure.
pillar?
Yeah, well, and so yeah, you fled, and that's why you kind of moved all the way into midfield here by your Cyclops. That was the reason for that movement. And then
Yes, yeah.
I took the tracker, and rather than following up and going towards the murder ball in the middle, I
Yep,
decided, you know what, I'm gonna try to push the. I think this is the time I checked the packet, and I said, oh, I get 1 VP for the furthest and 1 for the most army points. Maybe I can push 1 really far and then keep the warg and the trackers alive and maybe pick off a couple more models and sneak out 2 VPs here.
yeah.
So yeah, had I realized that right off the bat and as plan A, I think that I would have had better odds rather than trying to just fight this face on, especially with your spells, which are so good.
Yeah. So I just checked the incantation chapter while we were talking, and you can use Gems of Darkness. It says darkness is opposed to all the elements. But interestingly enough, it says that in an example paragraph, not in a rules paragraph. So weird. Yeah. Man, you scared me there. It's funny because you played the game, were away for many, many, many years, and you come back, and so you have fresh eyes. And when
Sure.
you ask me about stuff like this, I haven't looked at it in 20 years, right? So I have to worry, well, did I just read it a certain way 20 years ago and then never revisit it? For example, you were completely right about pursuit movements and
Yeah.
just blew away 20 years of my gaming experience. I was like, oh my God, I get full centimeters on pursuit
Yeah.
movements.
You gotta
Yeah.
look up things for yourself. You can't just take
Oh,
people's
yeah.
word for it.
That's actually something I love that you do is because you find stuff, right? Like you find stuff that I've overlooked. It's awesome.
Yeah. We did just see, not that it mattered, but Eric's did get box card there and just got wiped off the table with one
Oh,
shot
was she
from the.
box card?
Yep, yeah.
I had forgotten
It
that.
was the first attack from the Cyclops, and I said, you know
Yeah.
what, this didn't matter. Just kind of sped up the game anyways, so
Yeah.
let's just
Yeah.
continue. There's the
Yeah.
work. So here's the other big play that I think was a mistake. Warg just killed your soulless person.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, now I'm gonna. So I keep on following up and trying to get closer to you.
Yes.
But all it's doing is putting me back in range for you to drop another soulless and charge me
Yes.
again.
Yeah, I think if you had fallen back instead so that you were out of my pinning range but within your own charge range, that would have been a great lateral play. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
just done something else,
good
or
insight.
gone the
Yeah.
other way around.
Let me tell
Yeah,
you though, for anybody who hasn't done it, when you're in game 3, like for game 3, Patrick is playing great. Like I would never fault any of that. Everybody's frazzled by game 3.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think going into the day, just so excited for Confrontation. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get in games on the side. I'd play 2 Warg. I should be able to
Mm-hmm.
I should either be losing really quickly or closing out games really quickly, so I could
Mm-hmm.
do a pickup. And there's just no stamina. Like you're just like, all right,
Yeah.
I need to go to the bathroom. I need to get something
Yep.
to eat.
Yeah.
You know, you're at Adepticon, so you also want to walk around and check out the vendor hall and
Yeah.
other things that are going on. You know, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So here I am,
Yeah.
I cleared off both the flanks and I realized, oh, your army's pretty slow and in the middle. Maybe I can
Mm-hmm.
actually, push these things all the way across and get one, pretty much into my deployment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think the hard part is here, you're also going to push one pretty deep, and I can't race you, obviously. I
Yeah.
think that uh, it's interesting when I go through the scenario packet, and there are some advantages to like force and like being able to push things farther that
Mm-hmm.
give me the cash is one of them, or like even
Yes.
we played round 2, it was burn 'em all, was that it? Or
Yes, round 2 is burn 'em all, and force
yep,
does play a factor there. And I
yep,
think there's perhaps something to the idea that maybe if you have more force or it should be a factor of your strength, there should be some kind of
right,
way to make the pillars move. But
right,
instead, in this scenario, it's just about the bodies, and
right,
that is unfortunate. Yeah.
yep. I'm always an advocate for I like playing elite builds, smaller elite type
Mm-hmm.
forces, which usually typically come with larger bases,
Yes.
creatures, so always looking for ways to gripe about how the unadvantages of low count models or low count armies.
Yeah. No, it's actually one thing I really like about Give Me the Cash and Burn 'em All, that your force counts.
Yep.
It's a nice reflection of the value of the troop, right? Because things on large bases are not cheap.
Right. Yeah.
So we're kind of in the closing moves of the game here. As you can see, the field's been thinned out considerably on both sides. The trackers actually present a real problem for me just because of their 35 centimeter charge range. I can't handle them in terms of quality, and they're going to pick the assault really if I move guys in. It's kind of like if I run it in with 3 dwarves, he's going to assault one, at a time of his choosing, polish it off, and then the other 2 might be able to counter assault next turn or might not. You got to keep them close together.
Yeah.
So they're more of a daunting prospect than you would imagine 2 models to be. That's kind of the neat thing is, you only have 3 models, but you have almost 200 points still on the board. You're still very dangerous.
Right. Right. And I think this is where, so that move is where I'm, I think I do it one more time. I kill and I follow up again. Actually, I
Hmm.
don't think I get it. But this move right here is where I realize, oh crap, this is going to be a problem because you put them straight in the middle. So I can't just like edge my base on him. I have to wrap all the way around the pillar
Yes.
to
Yeah.
get him. And that means my pursuit movement can't get me back to push it, right?
Yeah. That's over on the left of the screen, everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I very much did that on purpose. Yes.
Yeah, and also here we're debating whether, well, these columns, it says in the scenario packet, these are supposed to be boulders, 5 centimeters tall,
Hmm.
right? And so now I think we're just having a conversation about, hey, can I see you over this, and could I assault you over it? I think, since you felt pretty confident in your position and you wanted to make me happy, you said that I could, but I think it comes down to just true line of sight, and based on if we play it, with these pillars in place, I clearly can't see you. My model can't see you there.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. True. If you're playing true line of sight, there's no question you could
right,
definitely see me. Yeah.
right, which is what we're playing 3.5 with UK Accord. That's what you're supposed to be using, and even though these say they're supposed to be boulders, they're pillars here. So I think that technically I probably shouldn't have had that shot, but like I said, you're a great opponent and let me get my small wins. So I thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. It was a great game. It was
Yeah.
very well played.
Hmm.
Was that the one where there was a double six to tracker on that side of the board? You know if it's that combat?
I can't remember, to be honest with you.
I guess we're gonna find out in a moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, those trackers were just great. They really were. I was very impressed with
Yeah,
them
I
all
was
game.
off of them for a little bit. I think we dabbled in Legacy, for a time, and just playing all the different flavors. And I think that with that 3.5, where the assault fire, it's always 4, right? If you have it on the
Mm,
card, then
yeah,
your assault fire is always 4. Is a big deal, really, to make them shine.
it's
Um,
huge.
But then the other thing too that I just really kind of explored is that their short range is 20, which for a strength 8 gun, is pretty significant, right? On a
Yeah,
17.5
especially
movement.
yeah. I was gonna say 20. Strength 8, 20 centimeter range is great. Add a 17.5 walk to that.
Right.
Phenomenal. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's just, those two kind of facets that really turn them on. But
yeah.
I do love me some Sentinels. It's just there's no point. I think, if they fit, I might play the Sentinels over them. Just because the Sentinels can really do work. But yeah, it's just funny how this list fits out to exactly 400 points with Eric's 2 Wargs, 2 Trackers, and then Red Oak's. It was like meant to be.
Yeah. At this point in the game, Patrick is starting to think about the third victory point, which is having more AP of fighters in your opponent's deployment zone,
Yep.
because he's got a pretty expensive boy. And he made the mistake of saying that out loud, which got me thinking about it. And then I started looking to get my own stuff into his deployment zone, at which point we're kind of closing out the game.
Yeah, and I think this was even the round before, and again pursued. I don't even think that was the full pursuit move. I think I kind of learned there that, like,
Hmm.
what, I can't. Oh, because you don't have any left, right? Um, and I kind of
Yes. At
realized
that
that.
point, I was at a lost ones. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
I think that was all of
Or
it.
you'd have to kill something, right, to get another one.
Correct.
Um, but yeah, so I think that's where I was like, I'm gonna leave this here. Oh, you box card the tracker. That's what you were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So that one left. You push this over, and
Yeah.
now and then this one that you just moved is gonna move down today. So I realized, okay, I'm
Yeah.
losing that one too, because there's no way. Even if I was able to clear this model on my tracker on the right side of the board, um, there's just no way I can push it faster and further than you can. Um, so I think here is where, I think there's a couple more minutes left. I'm scratching, digging deep, seeing if there's anything I can do. Um, but I think pretty soon here, I'm going to probably shake your hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
I will
played out.
say.
Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
Nope.
All right, fair enough. I will say that we talked all year about Syriac versus Irix, and this game, and then the aftermath. For the last couple of days, I've been thinking about Irix too, and I'm really coming around to wanting to play her because there is a lot I like about Syriac, but just being able to move wargs around the table an extra 17, throwing a fire elemental onto the field. I mean, Syriac's kind of slow and steady, which is, if you can't tell, kind of my play style because I'm playing Kelzeril. He's very slow and steady, but the dynamism of an Eric's list I really enjoy. So I think it was a great choice. I think she's awesome, and I really want to try Eric's sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, great job again, James. Winning the event at Adepticon. I think you really put the time into this game, and it really shows. You're very confident. You're pulling out counterspell and absorptions, and just so many different facets of the game. It's definitely shown that you've mastered the game. For many years. So
Thanks.
well deserved. And again, I think that I think for all the guys there, right? One, it was great seeing all these painted models, but I think I just
Phenomenal.
saw so many people celebrating the game, right? Whether the
Mhm.
dice was going for them or against them, everyone was laughing and just like kind of celebrate, right? Like nobody was moaning about dice or anything, and it's just awesome to see people come together, have a great time playing this game, and just rolling dice essentially.
Yeah, it was great vibes, wonderful people. I do think everybody had a great time. Hats off to Jeremy again for running the event. I know it must have been just a tremendous amount of work for him. He was a wonderful host, and Patrick, I've been super impressed with your gameplay. You've gotten so much done over the last year, and I can't wait to see what you do next year.
Yeah. So I think I tell you I'm going to kill this model and then I'm going to shake your hand just to make
Yeah,
myself feel good, which I definitely do here. Maybe I think that second place it didn't matter to. I had this thought afterwards. So I came in third. Jordan, another player, he actually came in second because he got more VPs overall rounds, which is exactly how you're supposed to do it. But I did have to double check and make sure that me conceding early didn't lose, because is AP the final tiebreaker, like AP destroyed, or
AP destroyed might be the final tiebreaker.
okay,
Yeah,
all
I'd
right.
have to look at the ladder. Yeah,
So even if you're out like this and it's been a long day, maybe stick in there because it might matter. But yeah. Otherwise, thanks everyone for checking us out. Otherwise, have a good night.
thanks.